A golden day for Team Canada on the track at the Summer Games in Paris. Canada's women's beach volleyball is playing for the gold medal this hour. We'll take you to a watch celebration. That's coming up in moments. And a man is shot to death near Woodbine Beach. Police say this was a targeted shooting. We're going to have the latest on the investigation coming up. This is Live at 5. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lena Latifat. Welcome to Live at 5. We start with a golden day on the track at the Summer Games in Paris. Canada has captured gold in the men's 4x100 meter relay. Andre de Grasse anchored the team, helping them finish with a time of 37.50 seconds to beat South Africa and Great Britain to the line. Canada took home silver in the event at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and bronze in the 2016 Rio Games. This is Canada's fifth ever Olympic medal in the event. And it wasn't the same finish for Canada's women. They finished 6th in the 4x100 relay. Sade McCreath, Jacqueline Madogo, Marie-Eloise Leclerc, and Audrey Leduc ran a time of 42.69 seconds. The U.S. won the gold medal. Britain took silver, and Germany gets the bronze. Now, the day started with a bronze medal on the water for Katie Vincent and Sloan McKenzie in the C2 500 meter. In a photo finish, they placed third in a time of 1 minute 54.36 seconds, missing out on the silver medal by just 0.06 of a second. And heartbreak for Canadian shot putter Sarah Mitten. Mitten was ousted from the final after falling into 12th spot after 3 attempts. The Nova Scotia native was favored to win the gold and posted the best score in qualifying leading up to today's final. And Canada's women's beach volleyball team is playing for gold this afternoon. CP24's Melissa Duggan joins us live from a celebration in the city's East End. How's it going, Melissa?
Hey, Lena, lots of loud cheers right now. Never before has a Canadian team, men's or women's, been this close to gold in beach volleyball at the Olympics. So the game is underway right now. It's just after 11 p.m. in Paris. The match underway at Eiffel Tower Stadium. That's where Melissa Jimena Paredes and Brandy Wilkerson are on the court. The first set went to Brazil. That team, by the way, coming into this match ranked #1. Canada closer to 7th spot, so it could be an uphill battle. But the last time that Canada was on the podium in this event was in 1996. That's when Marquise and John Child walked away with bronze. Now, he's his son. He happens to be here today. He is a volleyball player himself, a decorated athlete at that, and he talked to us about Canada's team. Have a listen.
For me, it's so fun to watch. You can use any word like electric, powerful, craft, but they're so fun to watch. Their serve to defense, and they're just dynamic as a team is so inspirational. They love each other, and I think that's a big factor going into today's match.
And such close Toronto connections with this team. They both played for York U. And if you happen to be by the volleyball courts in the beaches sometime, you just may have spotted them practicing there. So the game continues right now. Again, they are going for gold, but they will definitely be walking away with some hardware. Silver, of course, will be what the loser takes home, but really, you're still a winner if you grab that. Back to you, Lena.
Absolutely. Okay, Melissa, thanks so much for this. Time now is 5:03. We're sitting at 27 degrees in the city tonight. Let's get a check on that evening commute with our traffic specialist, Adjoa Nsia.
Good afternoon, Lena. Yeah, it's been a busy go. I've been talking about problems for the last little bit. These are brand new issues, actually, on the northbound lanes of the 410 through Steeles. You will find now it's the 2 left lanes as well as the HOV lane blocked following this collision. Backups, obviously, from the 401. And then speaking of the 401, big problems that are about to clear. So we need some good news. But this is the eastbound 401 just as you make your way past Warden. Now just the right lane blocked. At one point, it was only the left lane getting by, so things are improving. 401 on the eastbound side and the collectors at Yonge. Stalled vehicle has the right lane blocked. And then eastbound 401 looks like some good news here. Looks like they just reopened the transfer lanes on the approach to the DVP. They were closed in the morning following a serious situation. A Niagara-bound QEW ramp to North Shore, right lane blocked with a vehicle fire cleanup, and the big issues aren't on camera. They're happening on the 407 westbound past the 427. Only the right lane getting by for a serious collision that happened this morning. Big backups extend from the 400. I'll send it back to you, Lena.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
Adjoa, thanks so much. Also making news in our city tonight. Toronto police are investigating after a man was shot to death near Woodbine Beach. CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan joins us live with the very latest now. And Steve, police say this was a targeted shooting.
Yeah, they do believe that it was a targeted shooting, Alina, and we are told police that this happened last night at 10:40 p.m. We are just north of Woodbine Beach. There's a street, a dead-end street that I'm on right now called Joseph Duggan, and running east and west through this street is a laneway that has residential garages that back onto the laneway. This is where the shooting happened at 10:40 p.m. Multiple shots were fired, and police tell us that a man in his mid-20s was struck in the chest, rushed to hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Now, earlier on, we did obtain video surveillance footage from the area, and it picked up the audio of the sound of gunshots. And just listen how horrifying this was for residents in this area who heard this last night. Let's listen. So 11 shots, police tell us, were fired last night, and they did seize 11 shell casings and 2 projectiles as a result of those shots being fired. And we also heard from the lead investigator from the homicide squad earlier on today, and we spoke to a local resident as well. Here's more from both of them.
Information that we have received from witnesses in the area give us some information that there was some sort of an argument or a discussion amongst a group of people. We believe we have either 2 or 3 suspects at this point in time. The description is very limited. We believe it's males wearing all black, dark clothing, very limited at this point. We don't have any vehicle description to provide to the media or public.
It was just before I was going to bed, and I heard 3 loud bangs in a row. It wasn't like automatic fire. It was just 3 bang, 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 and way louder than I would have expected.
Suspects remain outstanding. Police do say that this was a targeted shooting, and the local residents here can expect to see a heightened police presence for the next 24 hours or so, according to the lead detective that's in charge of this case. Send it back to this.
All right, Steve Ryan, live in the beach tonight. Steve, thank you so much for this. We'll take you to Hamilton next, where police are investigating a possible murder-suicide in that city's East End. Police say it happened at a home on Ottawa Street near Main Street. Officers were called to the scene on Thursday, where 2 people were found dead.
Once inside, they located 2 deceased persons. There was no one else inside the unit. The back door to the unit was also barricaded, so no one could get in and out of this unit at that time without entry being forced. At that time, the CID unit from the East End Division 20 attended. They waited for a coroner to arrive. When the coroner arrived, it was determined that one of the deceased party had actually been murdered. So the homicide unit was contacted, and we've taken over the investigation.
Ottawa Street is, as you can see across the street, this is residential. My business and my home is a residential home, which is a multi-use property. So we have families that are here. We've got a community center right here. We've got the original Tim Hortons. It's definitely a quiet. This is not a space or an area that you would expect anything to be drastic like this by any means. We look out for each other. So yeah, and just a block away, we've got the main shopping area of Ottawa Street North. So yeah, it's a shock for sure.
An autopsy is being performed today, and next of kin has yet to be notified. Well, police have set up a command post in Richmond Hill as they search for a vulnerable elderly woman. 75-year-old Sadie Harvey was last seen yesterday around 8:45 p.m. after leaving home near Chelton Drive and Grovewood Street. She is described as 5'2" with a small build, blue eyes, and fully white shoulder-length hair. She was last seen wearing a blue and gray jacket, black pants, black purse, and black flat shoes.
We are appealing for the community and any witnesses to provide information on our missing party, Sadie Harvey. She has been missing since 8:45 p.m. last night in the area of Shelton Drive and Grovewood Street.
And police say they're particularly concerned about Harvey given the heavy rainfall expected to hit the GTA today. Well, a new report finds homelessness can reduce lifespans by almost 2 decades. The Unity Health study released today followed 640 unhoused people in the city for over a year. They were compared with 2 other groups, one made up of the general population and the other made up of the city's lowest income residents. Over the course of this study, 17 people in the homeless group died. Of those, the average was 17 years younger than participants in the other 2 groups. The study found no significant difference between low-income participants and the general public, suggesting that stable housing is a key factor in the gap. And we spoke to community and crisis worker Diana Chan McNally about the findings.
None of this is surprising for those of us who work on the front line. And so we see frequently that people who are well under the age of 60 for a variety of reasons are passing away long before their time. I think this study actually affirms what those of us, again, on the ground already know. And it's important for governments and the public to understand this more generally, is that actually being homeless is a huge factor in your longevity and quality of life. And your life will end earlier if you are homeless.
Overall, participants experiencing homelessness had a mortality rate of 2.7 per 100 person years compared to 0.72 in each of the housed groups. Well, the TTC says travel times have improved since installing a priority bus lane along a busy stretch of Spadina. The painted priority lane from Queen Street to Lakeshore was just installed last week. It barred parking along the stretch as well as trying to prevent vehicles from driving in the lane. The TTC says trip times southbound along that stretch have now been shortened by 13 to 36 minutes during the afternoon rush hours. And a couple of service disruptions on the TTC this weekend. Tonight, there will be no subway service on Line 1 between Lawrence West and St. George stations after 11 p.m. Shuttle buses will be running. Service will resume tomorrow morning. Trains on Line 2 are not stopping at Pape Station this weekend, and that is because of construction for the Ontario line. And then on Sunday, service on Line 2 between St. George and Broadview stations will start by 11 a.m. Shuttle buses will run before the late opening. It is 5:12, 27 degrees. You're watching Live at 5. We are closely watching developments out of Brazil following a plane crash near Sao Paulo. We'll have more on this coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. A plane carrying 61 people crashed near Sao Paulo, Brazil, and burst into flames today. A video shared on social media shows that plane spinning out of control in the air before hitting the ground. The plane crashing in a residential area, and it's not clear if there were any casualties on the ground. Still waiting to learn more about that. Meantime, local officials say it appears no one survived the crash. Firefighters, military, police, and the Civil Defense Authority are at the site of the crash. The airline says the cause is under investigation tonight. France-based ATR, the manufacturer of the plane, says it was aware of the accident and is working to support investigators. Stay with us for the latest on this developing story out of Brazil. Well, Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre is calling on the government to implement tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles, as well as official critical minerals used in the EV supply chain.
Trudeau has failed to protect our workers against this economic predation. In fact, he's refused to match U.S. tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. The U.S. first introduced tariffs to counteract Chinese-made vehicles years ago, and other tariffs have now been in place for 6 years. Meanwhile, Trudeau has done nothing to protect our workers and our jobs. Worse than that, this is where it gets really crazy. He's giving out rebates for people to buy Chinese-made cars.
Poilievre's plan includes a 100% tariff on made-in-China EVs entering Canada, a 50% tariff on semiconductors and solar cells, a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum products, other critical minerals, EV batteries and battery plants, plus ensuring there are no more rebates for made-in-China electric vehicles. Well, the unemployment rate across this country held steady at 6.4% in July. Stats Canada's latest job numbers show a particularly difficult market for students and recent immigrants. The share of returning students between the ages of 15 and 24 who were employed in July compared with a year ago tumbled 6.8% to just over 51%. That's the lowest number since 1997, outside of the pandemic year of 2020. The unemployment rate for recent immigrants has climbed 3.1 percentage points on an annual basis. Canada's Labour Board says services provided by rail employees are non-essential, paving the way for a possible strike. The board ruling today that a work stoppage would not pose a serious danger to public health or safety. This despite concerns around food security, fuel supply, and water treatment. This means employees of Canadian National Railway or Canadian Pacific Kansas City would not be forced to continue moving goods in the event of the work stoppage. This puts workers at both railways in strike position as early as August 22nd. Well, Costco is cracking down on those who share membership cards. Costco Wholesale says it'll be adding membership scanners at the entrance doors of each of its locations. Shoppers will now be required to scan the barcode on their cards or their QR code on their digital Costco ID instead of showing them at the door. Those visiting Costco must be accompanied by a valid membership holder. Well, dog owners are facing difficulty crossing the border after new rules were implemented by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. CTV's Pat Foran has the story.
We first met Mikey, a miniature golden doodle, in June. He likes to travel with his owners, Jim and Cindy Novakowski of Curtis. But when the U.S. Centers for Disease Control announced strict new rules for dogs coming into the U.S., they said in the future they'll stay home.
I don't think we're going to be going down there anymore.
Just before the new rules took effect on August 1st, the CDC announced it would be rolling back some of the stricter requirements that left many dog owners confused about what's needed to visit. A dog will still need to be microchipped, have their rabies vaccine, and be at least 6 months old, but paperwork needed can now be done by the pet owner.
They still need to fill out a CDC dog import form. But unlike previously, where there was quite a long waiting period, it's actually something you can fill out online even the same day.
About 4 million Canadians travel to Florida each year. Many are snowbirds bringing their pets for the winter, and thousands of dogs cross the border every day with their owners in transport trucks. Following pushback from Canada, the CDC got rid of other requirements that would have made crossing more difficult.
What has been dropped is the requirement for photo ID as well as a veterinarian-issued form.
A survey of pet owners by Rover.com found 39% don't understand the travel regulations, 34% were completely unaware of them, and 84% worry about being separated from their pet at the border. The federal government has been trying to work with the U.S. to allow Canadians time to adjust to the new rules.
There's a lot of talk about there being a grace period where the Canadian government is asking if it's possible for people to just get a warning if they're not doing things properly rather than actually being denied entry.
Anyone planning to visit the U.S. with their dog is advised to check the CDC's website for more information so they don't get turned back at the border. Pat Foran, CTV News.
It is 5:20, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5. The City of Toronto has announced part-time opportunities for job seekers this fall and winter. We're going to have more on what you need to know just ahead. Welcome back. The City of Toronto has announced additional part-time winter job opportunities for students and adults. Some of the seasonal positions include roles with ski, skate, snowboard, fitness, and recreation facilities. The city says around 5,000 jobs are needed for the winter season to help support community recreation programs.
Whether you're passionate about skating, yeah, we see it, and skiing, snowboarding, fitness, or any other after-school programs, there's a place for you in the winter, whether it's indoor or outdoor. We have thousands of good jobs at fair wages available for anyone seeking part-time employment for you to apply.
The city says it currently employs over 9,000 recreation workers. Well, Sick Kids Hospital says it's seeing an increase in children with serious injuries from e-scooters or e-bicycles. The hospital says in June and July, there were 16 injuries related to e-scooter use compared to 5 injuries in the same 2 months last year. One doctor notes speeding, lack of helmet use, young age, and interaction with motor vehicles all place children at the risk of serious injury if there is a fall or collision. The hospital says in 56% of e-scooter related injuries, the child was not wearing a helmet.
And of these kids who present to the emergency department haven't been wearing a helmet. And actually, of the children who are more significantly injured, who've required a trauma team activation, for example, the majority have not worn a helmet. So helmets do protect against moderate to severe traumatic brain injury, and we encourage that they are always worn, appropriately fit, and worn consistently without exception.
Sick Kids says children under 16 years old should not operate e-devices. It's 5:24, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5. There is lots to do and see and eat in the city this weekend. We're going to have a sample for you just after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It is another busy weekend for foodie festivals in the city. Taco Fest is happening at Fort York. The 3-day event celebrates the best in Mexican cuisine, including tacos, guacamole, churros, I love churros, and hot sauce. There will be over 45 vendors featuring more than 250 variations of tacos. And one of the city's most anticipated events celebrating Asian culture is back. The Toronto Waterfront Night Market kicks off tonight and runs until Sunday night. It all goes down at the Hotel X and Exhibition Grounds.
It was an idea to celebrate food, culture, and community, but the night market over the 15 years, we are celebrating our 15th year anniversary this year, has actually evolved to bring together a blend of delicious Asian street food, as well as music and Asian talent that unites multi-generational families in celebration and to create more memories.
TD Jerkfest Toronto returns bigger and better starting tonight and runs until Sunday at Centennial Park in Etobicoke. Performers include Massacre, Marcia Griffiths, Farm Nappy, and Ding Dong. There will also be plenty of delicious food and activities. And this is a look at Nathan Phillips Square, where Latin Fest will be held on Sunday from noon to 9 p.m. That's a live shot for you. This will feature plenty of music, dancing, and of course, lots of food. It's 5:28, 27 degrees. You're watching Live at 5. It's a golden day for the men's 4x100 relay team in Paris. We're going to tell you all about that coming up. Stay with us. A golden day for Team Canada on the track at the Summer Games in Paris. And Canada's women's beach volleyball is playing for the gold medal this hour. We'll take you to a watch celebration in just moments. Plus, a man is shot to death near Woodbine Beach, and police say this was a targeted shooting. We're going to have the latest on this coming up with our crime analyst, Steve Ryan. You're watching Live at 5. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Lena Latafat. We start with a golden day on the track at the Summer Games in Paris. Canada has captured gold in the men's 4x100 meter relay. Andre de Grasse anchored the team, helping them finish with a time of 37.50 seconds to beat South Africa and Great Britain to the line. Canada took home silver in the event at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and bronze in the 2016 Rio Games. This is Canada's 5th ever Olympic medal in the event. And it wasn't the same finish for Canada's women. They finished 6th in the 4x100 relay. Sade McCreath, Jacqueline Madogo, Marie-Eloise Leclerc, and Audrey Leduc ran a time of 42.69 seconds. The U.S. won the gold medal. Britain took silver, and Germany gets the bronze. Now, the day started with a bronze medal on the water for Katie Vincent and Sloan McKenzie in the C2 500 meter in a photo finish. They placed 3rd in a time of 1 minute 54.36 seconds, missing out on the silver medal by just 0.06 of a second. So it was really close. And heartbreak for Canadian shot putter Sarah Mitten. Mitten was ousted from the final after falling into 12th spot after 3 attempts. The Nova Scotian native was favored to win the gold and posted the best score in qualifying leading up to today's final. Well, breaking has officially made its Olympic debut. The women's event happened today, and Vancouver's Philip Kim competes tomorrow in the men's event. Veteran breaker Jay Rebel with the Supernaturals crew developed a course on the art of breaking at York University, and we caught up with him today.
Well, it's definitely an exciting time for myself and the breaking community globally. This is something that's been put in place since the Youth Olympics, and it's something everyone's very excited about. I never thought breaking would personally go to the Olympics. I've competed on an international level at high-level competitions like R16, Battle of the Year, and UK Champs, but I never thought I'd see it on this platform, so it's a good look.
Jay Rebel says politics, cultural aspects, race, class, and gender are all intertwined in breaking. Well, we want to get to some local news now. Toronto police are investigating after a man was shot to death near Woodbine Beach, and the search continues for suspects today. CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan joins us live now with the latest. Police held an update this afternoon. What did you make of that, Steve?
Yeah, they did, Lena. We heard from the homicide squad earlier on this afternoon, and they did say that this was a targeted shooting. Police say that there were 2 or 3 suspects. No descriptions on the suspects right now. We were told that a man sustained a gunshot wound to the chest, was rushed to hospital where he died as a result of his injury. So we are just across the street, just north of Woodbine Beach. The street is Joseph Dugan, and running east and west through this street is a laneway, and that laneway has residential garages that are on both sides of the laneway, and that's where the shooting occurred. Now, earlier on, we were able to obtain surveillance footage, and it captured the audio of the sound of the gunshots that took place at 10:40 last night. Let's listen to how horrifying this sound is. Police tell us that 11 shell casings were seized here at the location and 2 projectiles. Now, as we talked about, Lena, we did hear from the homicide squad earlier on today. Here's more from the officer in charge, and we spoke with a resident as well. Let's listen to both of them.
We recovered 11 casings as well as a couple projectiles that strewed probably close to 70 meters down the laneway behind me. Obviously, there's some concern for public safety at this point in terms of such a brazen shooting happening 10:40 in the evening. We're obviously right near the beaches in Ashbridges Bay. A lot of people were in their backyards at the time in the laneways. This is a regularly, frequently used laneway. And so there were a lot of people in their backyards, and thankfully no one else was injured.
This didn't sound like fireworks, and there's a lot of fireworks in the area. And this didn't sound like that. It sounded a lot louder, but it was right in the alleyway, so perhaps it was closer than fireworks have been.
The detective sergeant in the homicide squad said that this neighborhood can expect to see a heightened police presence for the next day or two while police continue with their investigation. I'll send it back to you.
Steve Ryan live in the beach tonight. Steve, thanks so much for your reporting. We'll take you to Richmond Hill now, where police have set up a command post as they search for a vulnerable elderly woman. 75-year-old Sadie Harvey was last seen yesterday around 8:45 p.m. after leaving home near Chelton Drive and Grovewood Street. She's described as 5'2" with a small build, blue eyes, and fully white shoulder-length hair. She was last seen wearing a blue and gray jacket, black pants, black purse, and black flat shoes.
We do have our search and rescue team deployed in various areas throughout the neighborhood. We have looked heavily in the immediate area where she does reside. And again, we are expanding that search zone to other areas. And so we are just hoping the community can assist in keeping an eye out for Sadie, and hopefully she is in good health.
Police say they're particularly concerned about Harvey, given the heavy rainfall expected to hit the GTA today. Well, a new report finds homelessness can reduce lifespans by nearly 2 decades. The Unity Health study released today followed 640 unhoused people in the city for over a year. They were compared with 2 other groups, one made up of the general population and the other made up of the city's lowest income residents. Over the course of this study, 17 people in the homeless group died. Of those, the average was 17 years younger than participants in the other 2 groups. The study found no significant difference between low-income participants and the general public, suggesting that stable housing is a key factor in the gap. And we spoke to community and crisis worker Diana Chan McNally about the findings.
None of this is surprising for those of us who work on the front line. And so we see frequently that people who are well under the age of 60 for a variety of reasons are passing away long before their time. I think this study actually affirms what those of us, again, on the ground already know. And it's important for governments and the public to understand this more generally, is that actually being homeless is a huge factor in your longevity and quality of life, and your life will end earlier if you are homeless.
Overall, participants experiencing homelessness had a mortality rate of 2.7 per 100 person years, compared to 0.72 in each of the housed groups. Well, we have breaking news from Paris now. Canada's women's beach volleyball team have won a silver medal after playing Brazil in the final match. For more on this, let's go live to CP24's Melissa Duggan. You've been watching with some local fans. Get to some reaction for us. I'm sure people there are thrilled.
Canada's women's beach volleyball team going home with some historic hardware, Lena, but they did fall short of gold, losing to Brazil, the top-ranked team in the world. They put up a big fight. They forced it into a 3rd set, but they are going home with that silver. Now, the last time Canada picked up a medal in this event, it was our men's team in 1996. And that was when Marquise and John Child won that bronze medal. And Heath's son just happens to be with me right now, a decorated volleyball player himself. Marcus, what's your reaction to that game?
Well, it was such a great game to watch. I mean, Melissa and Brandy are inspirations to us all in the beach volleyball community. And yes, they fell short, but you know, to watch them play at such a high level, miss a couple of chances and still, you know, be such a tightly knit team, and you know, their relationship is so amazing to watch. Even there at the end when they lost, it looked like they, yes, soaked it in, and then, you know, went right to each other, gave each other a big hug of appreciation. And it almost looked at, you know, they were ready to go at what's next. And I thought that was pretty cool to watch as a beach volleyball player myself, who's lost in finals so many times before. To see that reaction between their partnership, something to learn from for sure.
And we kept hearing they keep digging in, especially Melissa. What does that mean? Were they just giving it their all?
Well, digging in, you know, you could almost say that's a volleyball term, making a dig, and Melissa made many of those. She made, I think it was 14 digs. So yeah, she came in to dig it in, but her and Brandy, the mentality of digging into the game and kind of fighting through adversity, I would say what that means is to dig in, trust each other, and fight against adversity.
And there seemed to be a moment too where I think that they realized, listen, it looks like this isn't going our way, and they seemed to soak in that moment of playing next to the Eiffel Tower.
Well, it comes down to winning or losing, or growing to appreciate the moment. And yeah, I think 14-9 there, they're there's still a chance where, hey, we could win, but yeah, it seemed like they were absorbing the bigger moment. And like I said, they were connecting with each other on a deeper level and appreciating everything they did together as a team.
Yeah, a lot of hard work went into that. And adding to Canada's medal haul, Canada taking home silver in the women's beach volleyball. Back to you.
All right, Melissa Duggan reporting live tonight. Thanks so much for this, Melissa. Well, the Boots and Hearts Music Festival is back, and tens of thousands of people are flocking to Oro Medonte to take it all in. CTV's Rob Cooper has that story.
Some last-minute sound and lighting checks. Boots and Hearts is back to the delight of music fans.
There is about 25 of us all together, and we've been making friends everywhere we go.
Boots and Hearts is Canada's largest camping and country music festival, 13 years in running. There are 2 stages being used this year, the main stage and what's being called the front porch stage. 35 country music artists will perform over the next 4 days, up to 40,000 fans a day.
New people, new experiences.
The music, the singers, the camping, everything is just so much fun here. This is the best place to be on earth.
This year's lineup will feature 14 Canadian artists, including Alexa Goldie, who's performing after coming as a fan for the last 6 years.
You know what? You get to network back here. You get to meet new people. You get new experiences. I'm going to learn so much being on stage today and being with the other artists, seeing how I can improve myself. So it's a good learning day.
So we're very excited. We even make sure to have Canadians that we've never had before. We just have our Emerging Artist Showcase, which 8 finalists are here, all from all across Canada, and they are going to be on the stage tonight, and we're just going to enjoy all of Canada's top talent.
Campers started arriving yesterday and are set up by now. The general crowd was let in this afternoon, and the concert runs all the way to Sunday night. So the festival officially underway with the gates now open. All of it runs right through to Sunday night. A total of 30 hours of music this weekend in Oro Medonte. And just last night, the Boots and Hearts Barn Burner charity hockey game, raising more than $400,000 for local charities. Rob Cooper, CTV News, Oro Medonte.
It's 5:43, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5. We're closely watching developments in Brazil following a plane crash near Sao Paulo. Stay with us for more on that story. Welcome back. A plane carrying 61 people crashed near Sao Paulo, Brazil, and burst into flames. A video shared on social media shows the plane spinning out of control in the air before hitting the ground. The plane crashed in a residential area, and it's not clear if there were any casualties on the ground. Local officials say it appears no one survived the crash. Firefighters, military, police, and the Civil Defense Authority are at the site of the crash. The airline says the cause of the crash is under investigation. France-based ATR, the manufacturer of the plane, says it was aware of the accident and is working to support investigators. Stay with us for any developments out of Brazil tonight. Time now is 5:46. We're sitting at 27 degrees. Let's get a check on that drive home. Adjua keeping a close eye on that. How's it going, Adj?
Well, now we're dealing with some major problems, Lena. Already on the slow Gardner, we're dealing with a rollover. This is the eastbound lanes of the Gardner at Parkside, so just before the construction zone. It is the 2 right lanes that are blocked. You can see that that vehicle, actually. It's still on its roof. Only the right lane is getting by. At least fire's on scene. It's going to be some time before they get this vehicle upright. In the meantime, delays already backed up from Islington. Probably bail, use the lakeshore. You shave a lot of drive time off of that commute. Some good news, though. We had some problems on the eastbound 401 in the collectors at Yonge. Collision was taking out the right lane. It's still busy into Brampton on the northbound 410, but that collision, which was in the HOV lane, cleared. Unfortunately, the 407 westbound past the 427, still only the right lane getting by following a multi-vehicle collision. The major backups are still there from the 400 Steeles, Major Mac, Rutherford. Good alternatives. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Adjua, thanks so much for this. Welcome. Costco is cracking down on those who share membership cards. Costco Wholesale says it'll be adding membership scanners at the entrance door of each of its locations. Shoppers will now be required to scan the barcode on their cards or their QR code on their digital Costco ID instead of showing them at the door. Those visiting Costco must be accompanied by a valid membership holder. Well, dog owners are facing difficulty crossing the border after new rules were implemented by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That's the CDC. CTV Toronto's Pat Foran has the story.
We first met Mikey, a miniature golden doodle, in June. He likes to travel with his owners, Jim and Cindy Nowakowski of Curtis. But when the U.S. Centers for Disease Control announced strict new rules for dogs coming into the U.S., they said in the future they'll stay home.
I don't think we're going to be going down there anymore.
Just before the new rules took effect on August 1st, the CDC announced it would be rolling back some of the stricter requirements that left many dog owners confused about what's needed to visit. A dog will still need to be microchipped, have their rabies vaccine, and be at least 6 months old, but paperwork needed can now be done by the pet owner.
They still need to fill out a CDC dog import form. But unlike previously, where there was quite a long waiting period, it's actually something you can fill out online even the same day.
About 4 million Canadians travel to Florida each year. Many are snowbirds bringing their pets for the winter, and thousands of dogs cross the border every day with their owners in transport trucks. Following pushback from Canada, the CDC got rid of other requirements that would have made crossing more difficult.
What has been dropped is the requirement for photo ID as well as a veterinarian-issued form.
A survey of pet owners by Rover.com found 39% don't understand the travel regulations, 34% were completely unaware of them, and 84% worry about being separated from their pet at the border. The federal government has been trying to work with the U.S. to allow Canadians time to adjust to the new rules.
There's a lot of talk about there being a grace period where the Canadian government is asking if it's possible for people to just get a warning if they're not doing things properly rather than actually being denied entry.
Anyone planning to visit the U.S. with their dog is advised to check the CDC's website for more information so they don't get turned back at the border. Pat Foran, CTV News.
It is 5:49, 27 degrees. This is Live at 5. The city of Toronto has announced part-time opportunities for job seekers this fall and winter. We're going to have more on what you need to know just ahead. The city of Toronto has announced additional part-time winter job opportunities for students and adults. Some of the seasonal positions include roles with ski, fitness, and recreation facilities. The city says around 5,000 jobs are needed for the winter season to help support community recreation programs.
The city employed approximately 9,000 recreation workers. We need about 5,000 employees for the winter 2024 season to support community recreation programs. We're also looking to hire local young people that knows the neighborhood and want to get started with a good job, good paying job.
All right, we want to tell you more about this story now. Sheep in Sarnia are taking on the job of cutting grass and getting rid of weeds, and they're getting a hearty meal while they're at it. CTV's Brian Bicknell has the details.
You've probably never seen a landscaping company quite like this. The workers complain a lot. But the grass gets cut, the weeds get pulled, and guard dogs Ned and Ivy keep them in check.
So whenever they see Brent and I, they think they're going to get new food. So they're very loud sometimes. They are always hungry, not for a lack of nothing to eat, but they just like to make noise and just be loud constantly.
This flock of sheep belongs to Mika and Brent Pellibour of Angus Creek Farms near Sarnia. The woolly mowers maintain vegetation at Sarnia Solar, one of the country's largest solar farms owned by energy company Enbridge. There are 275 sheep in this flock, and they're covering about 85 acres of property. As you can hear, they're pretty vocal, but they're good at their jobs.
I mean, obviously they love eating grass. They're small, so they can get under the panels and maneuver them easily, whereas it is a little bit more difficult for a person in a lawnmower to get under there.
This solar farm has more than 1.3 million solar panels. It produces 80 megawatts of electricity, enough energy to power between 14,000 and 16,000 homes.
Producing the power that we produce, you know, and we're not taking a giant footprint up, and now we're also stabilizing another resource as well by having the sheep come in and they get to feed off of the area.
A pilot project for 2024, Enbridge says the four-legged lawn cutters could eliminate the need for pesticides. They also support growth of native flowering plants. The company is monitoring for other possible benefits as the ewes and Ned and Ivy complete their summer internships.
They're kind of quirky animals in general.
Yeah, they definitely are entertaining.
In Sarnia, Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
It is 5:56, 27 degrees. You're watching Live at 5. They are known as Canada's house band. A new documentary about the Tragically Hip is set to premiere at TIFF. We're going to tell you more about that. Stay with us.
My friends, the Tragically Hip.
If any of us were in another band, I don't think we'd be able to do it.
The trailer is out for a docuseries telling the story of Canadian music legends, the Tragically Hip. The Tragically Hip No Dress Rehearsal will have its world premiere at TIFF. It promises an intimate and unvarnished look at the extraordinary 40-year journey of the beloved rock band. A release date is planned, but has yet to be revealed for the four-part series set to stream on Prime Video. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24. Thanks so much for watching. CTV News at 6 is next. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe.